Hello, Wapplers from around the world. My name is Mark, one on the forum, and this is our monthly Wappler Meetup. We meet on the second Friday of every month at 4 p.m. Netherlands time. You can follow on in the community. Also, we're recording this meetup like we always do, and our friend Ben Pleasure from Down Under is kind enough to get it on the YouTube, Wappler YouTube channel for posterity purposes. Today, we're talking about the Wappler Virtual Academy and the Wappler, the missing manual. It's going to be presented by the one and only Mr. Brian English from London. And take it away, Brian.
Thank you. Before I actually show you anything, I just want to tell you really what it's all about. So I'm just going to jiggle some screens around there while we're busy. I've lost myself, so if I'm not in the screen, it's because I managed to somehow do something strange with the Zoom screen. Never mind, don't worry about it. Is the Wappler Virtual Academy all about? It's something that I've been thinking about over many years, in truth. Played about with, never really had the time to give it the attention it needed. And as a result, it never really came to anything. And then about 3 months ago, I just felt a strong compulsion to come back to it and have a look. A lot of people complaining about the doc system within Wappler. So I thought, why not come up with an alternative doc system for it and see where we go from there. So what I'm launching now is very much a beta. It's not a final. It's a start place. What we have in place is a small team of editors. We'll be releasing the content's already there. And what we want to do is make this community driven. So we've got tutorials, lessons, and built into the system. What it definitely is not, and I really need to stress this strongly, is this is not competition for the Wappler Forum. Wappler Forum should always remain prime, in my opinion. It's not a support site. You can't just post something in saying, can you give me some advice on how to do this, etc. That's what the Wappler Support Forum is for. However, we will have, or we do have facilities for people to be able to feed back to the editorial team as to if there's a problem with a tutorial, missing information, incorrect information, or even to be able to ask specifically for a new tutorial to be developed so that the system will be enhanced. Got to mention funding. You know, these things don't come free. As you know, I'm not terribly money orientated, but there are on costs in terms of server costs, AI costs. I would like to start integrating things like one-time tokens for logins using SMF. So, you know, we'll be looking at Twilio. I would like to add push notifications in through the likes of OneSignal. So while the on-costs are not huge, there will be some funding required, and I'll come back to that one as a later date. I want to keep this free, if possible. I originally just sort of thought about possibly a subscription service. I don't want to go down that line unless I have to. I would like to see if we can fund it via donations, and in that way we can keep it open, allow everybody to have access, let some cross-linking happen between the forum and the site, and keep it open for SEO. So that's what it's all about. Anybody got any quick questions at all before I go any further? Is everybody there? Oh, great. I'd lost the screen that I've got back now, John, so I couldn't actually see if you were still there. So I'm starting to think, am I talking to myself here? Right, so now I've got that screen back, I can actually share my screen as well, which is the all-important bit. So if we go to... Right, you should all be able to see the website screen now, can you?
Afraid not.
Okay. Got it?
There it
Got
is.
it.
Yay! Starting to panic there. Okay. I'm just going to... if I can drag this taskbar onto the screen. Okay, so this is the homepage of the Wappler Virtual Academy. Again, just a little bit of background. Originally, I was thinking in terms of an ebook here, but I thought there's going to be lots and lots of problems in relation to really the security of it and the sharing of it, which is why I bought it with an online service. But I still haven't discounted the possibility. And if we can keep this running through a donation system so we don't need to worry about piracy, etc., that is still an option for us. So I'm just going to log out here. Okay, so you'll come in your home screen. I'm not going to go through the whole process because it's fairly straightforward stuff. You've got a registration screen. So we're looking for your first name, your last name, and please your forum name. It's really useful to be able to link back to people that we know from the forum, know what's happening. One thing, just because it was highlighted a couple of days ago, is that you need to have one uppercase, one lowercase, one number as usual, and one of the highlighted special characters within your password. And then we also, obviously, then we can go into a login. When you go into the, sorry, I'll just pop into here. When you're registering, you will get a confirmation come to you by email. This account here is actually confirmed. What I'm just going to, just so you can see what's happening, is if I just manually remove that confirmation out of the database. If I do it in the right one. Sorry about this. I'm in the wrong target. Right, if I now refresh that screen, you'll see that you have a resend confirmation link option there. That tells you basically you haven't confirmed your account. Now, that doesn't stop you logging in. I don't want to make this restrictive. However, what it does mean is that you will not be able to give feedback to the editors until you are a registered and confirmed user. So how does it work? Well, I'll just work through the options one at a time. Please, anybody questions? You know I love to natter. I'll bore the life out of you if I just talk and talk and talk. I don't mind being interrupted. Please just ask me if there's anything that you want to find out about. Start with the basic bit. The W there, you know, it's slightly different to Wappler W, just because I didn't want to infringe on anything to do with copyright, etc. So this is our own version. You click on that and it gives you a topic menu. You can then drill down into the different topics as you wish. Some of them different levels. I can actually go, I think I've set this to go down. No, actually, no, I took that limit off. Unlimited nesting, basically. It's dynamically built menu, so as soon as anybody updates, I should say adds a new topic, then the menu will instantly refresh that. There are some disabled links at the minute. Those disabled links indicate there is no current content within those items. And if you want to look at, let's say, accordion cards, literally all you do is click on it, and there you are. You have got a description. This is just something I put together very, very quickly myself. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to tend to run in pretty small screen resolution, so I'll just blow that up. So what you can see there is simple instant. If you can click on any image at any time, and it will blow it up to large screen. I can't give you the full lightbox experience that you got within the Wappler forum, purely because I'm using Summernote in the background here. I've got so many little bit of custom code hidden in the back to process these and fire events, etc., to allow me to do what we're doing. So that was what a simple post would look like. You notice there's a feedback button we'll come to. It tells you who has developed the topic. Now, initially, everything was just set to system admin. A lot of it has just been pulled directly from the Wappler forum. So we don't have an editor as such. So they default to this account. As people develop their various topics, you will see who they are. So it's really there to credit the people who are making an effort to support the site by giving the time up to do the editing. Usual light mode, dark mode, fairly bog standard stuff that. So as well as the menu system that you have here, which allows you to dial down, if you refer back to the book structure that I talked about, these would be your chapters. These would be your sections within its chapters, and then into your subsections, etc., as you work down. And that structure was built so it would be able to form a book ultimately. It's actually all in a single table. It's a self-referencing single table. And this menu is actually built with a bit of custom Node.js, which builds the whole menu. It does it really quick. I tried it with a Wappler repeat, and it was just horribly slow. Doing it in Node.js, it takes about 200 milliseconds or thereabouts. So it's a completely different experience. Topics. We have, let's say at the moment, 791 topics. I think it is off the top of my head in the system. Not all are populated, large proportion are. It's really the Server Connect side that I'm still working through primarily. And you can see there, list of topics. You can page through them in the usual way. You can select how many topics you want per page. But you also have a search. Now, this isn't just the standard filter search that you would see within server actions where, it has to be an exact match. You can mix and match. It searches on individually on the first 6 words that you use within the search. So if we wanted to look for hosting platforms, let's say, so he's picked that up because it's found hosting and it's found platforms, but it doesn't have to be an exact match. We can also extend that search into the full body of the posts. So if you can't find what you want by title, if you click that then searches the body. That's the full text of the search, the topics.
Nice touch.
And it will then allow you, thanks Mark, allow you to search deeper, because sometimes there's things you're looking for that aren't reflected in the title, but you know is there in there somewhere. And once you've found what you want, you can just then click on that post, and there we are. It will bring it up. Just going to go back. Let's just pick that one. Pick that one for a reason. You'll see in this sidebar, it has subtopics. Basically, as I've said, this is a tree. So when you're at the top or partway down the tree, the subtopics sidebar will show you all of its children effectively. So we've gone to the Virtual Academy top. These are all the subtopics. If I was going to App Connect, you can see there that we have the subtopics within App Connect, and we can browse through them as we want. There is also another box for cross-references. And when I find a topic, because I should have really written one down that has a cross-reference in, you will also have a list of cross-references. And the editors who work with this have the ability to manually add those cross-references in. It's basically just a tagify type of situation. So you can actually add as much cross-referencing as you want within the system to allow people to navigate it as sort of intelligently, shall we say, as we can. I'm going to slow down because I'm not going to fill an hour on this rate. Lessons. I'm going to explain what a lesson is. And there's only one that I've got in there at the moment. But I really see this as the direction I would like to go. A lesson is a series of topics linked together to take you from one point of knowledge to another. What I would like to do is encourage the editors not to do big, long topics, descriptions, but break them up into small bite-sized ones. Because once we have lots and lots of bite-sized generic modules, we can then start pulling those modules together into what I call a lesson flow. So for example, Theodore put out a really useful post the other day, which took you from starting a project right through to producing a table in App Connect. Covered a number of points all within one post. But if we break it down into what I call granular content, we have how to set up a project, how to link your database, how to write a server action, how to link your server action and into App Connect, how then to build a table. And if we actually have those 5 items as individual items, then anybody who wants to write a lesson that takes you from A to B has the potential to be able to reuse modules that have been used in other lesson flows so that the build time becomes much, much quicker to be able to develop these. It's a technique I picked up years ago when I worked within online training for the Home Office, and it was successful.
That's a good idea. Very good.
Thank you. Couple of other basic links, NPMs, bit like you have in Wappler now. When you want to add an NPM, you can get a list of all of the NPMs that are relevant to Wappler. It's a simple API search. NPM has its own API, and I just search on the term Wappler, and this is what it brings back for us. So if you want to look at any of these, you can literally just click on them and take you through into the NPM site directly. And we have exactly the same with GitHub. Relevant GitHub. I know there's a lot more out there, and I need to just refine that particular search and look out, because I know there was a lot of stuff out there, but some of it doesn't have the Wappler key term within it. So I need to come up with a way of doing that. Just going to jump back because let's have a look. What shall we pick? Server Connect. So I'm aware that some of those on the forum, obviously, English is not the first language. They do remarkably well, I think, in communicating their needs in most cases, but it must be quite difficult. I mean, I've lived abroad. I know what it's like to be a language as a second language type of person, and any help that you can get is useful. Looking forward, I would love to make this completely multilingual, and the structure has been built so that it'd be relatively straightforward to be able to do that. But to do that is going to be a lot of probably AI costs to be able to do initial translations. I'll need support from multilingual Wappler users to be able to check those translations and correct them if necessary. So that in itself is a big job. It's an aspiration at the moment rather than a hard sell, as it were. So I've just dropped in a simple Google Translate widget in here. So let's say let's say Dutch, because we really should go that. If we're Dutch, it'll do an auto translate for us, and so that hopefully, if you're struggling a bit to understand what the post is about, putting it into your native language as well as it does. And I don't know whether it's a good job or a bad job, because I don't speak Dutch. It gives. I appreciate the likes of Google Chrome can do that as well, but that's not always easy to do, particularly on mobile devices or some people who will not be specifically using Chrome. So I thought for the ease of doing that, that would be a useful little touch for people. My account. Sorry, did I hear a voice? I'm desperate for somebody to talk to me here.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's amazing what the technology is heading toward today. And the multilingual. I'm sorry, say again?
No, I didn't. I think it was just some interference there, Mark.
Right. That's a wonderful feature, Brian. Wonderful feature.
Thank you. Ironically, I don't know whether anybody else has used that Google Translate widget. They actually discontinued it quite some time ago, but they haven't deactivated it. So I just went back into a system that I wrote. Actually, the first project that I ever wrote using Wappler, which was an international site, pulled that little widget up, and it still works absolutely fine. One day they might pull the plug on it, but hopefully by then we'll have something more sophisticated in place on that.
It'll be AI, wouldn't it? Next, that's why they're.
Yeah, well, I mean, AI does a better job generally, although they're building AI into Google Translate now. So, maybe what will happen is that the Google Translate will come up to the AI level. Certainly, Google Translate is preferable if it does a good job, because it doesn't have the costs involved. I appreciate AI costs are coming down, but if we're going to start translating every document, it can need to be translated every time it's updated into all of the supported languages, it's going to become quite heavy.
And pretty much everything Google's done over the years for free is now either paid for or obsolete.
Yeah, basically it's the world of money, isn't it? My account, fairly straightforward. My details, I'll just explain. This is obviously a test account I created, usual name, etc. I haven't yet had a change password in there. That'll hopefully be there by sort of Monday at the latest. You can do the forgot password if you're really desperate to change that in the short term. Start line in bio is there specifically. You'll have seen those side boxes which introduce the author or the last editor of the topic. That's where that bio is pulled from. But I also have native language, and I've tried to keep pretty well every language I could find in there. The reason for that is not so much that it is needed now, but going forward, if we do decide to go multilingual, I need to get a better idea of the language spread within the users, because obviously we would prioritize the languages that are the most commonly spoken by the members of the facility. So if people can update that, it's not because it's snooping or anything. It is because that the more, let's say we find we've got more Italian speakers than anywhere else, then Italian would become the first priority when we go down the multilingual route. Suspect probably Spanish
Brian?
will be into. Sorry?
Brian, you just gave me an idea, and maybe we can help here with the meetups. If I could ask everybody in the chat to not only input what country you're from, but what's your first language, so we can have some kind of an idea of the languages here in the chat today. And maybe we can continue to do something like that in the future to get a feel of give us a direction. But if you would please post stuff in the chat, and I'll turn it back over to Brian. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to slow things down now because I'm just about at the end of this. So we'll have to drop into chat, and I'm quite happy to do that. Other thing is that I said it's about community driven. It's important that the community basically drive the direction of the certainly the content. Everything that you do on here is tracked. That's not for sinister reasons. That is because A, you can see what you've been looking at, B, what you have looked at in the past. So if you think, oh, I saw a post about this, you can track back in the history. It's your history, so I've given everybody the option to be able to delete options from there. And if you keep hitting the refresh button, you will find that you get multiple events for the same thing. But actually, the reason that I think it's important is that allows me to be able to look at who has viewed what, and that will give us an indication as to what are the most popular topics. And therefore, we can ensure that those topics are kept as up to date as possible and potentially extend them as needed. At the moment, I can pull a topic directly from the Wappler forum. Does a little bit of post-processing to get it to work with Summernote. And then at that point on, we can use that as the basic building blocks to be able to enhance that as we go along. What I would also ultimately like to do is when the forum posts are discussed, people often come along and say, well, the documentation says this, but I want to do this. Is it possible? And one of the amazing Wappler team will come back and say, yes, actually, you can. You can add this event listener in, or you can actually, there's this functionality that we haven't documented, but is actually hidden there in the background. And it's actually quite difficult to find sometimes within the forum because it's getting so big to be able to find those little ifs and buts. And what I would like to do is ultimately is to every post that comes through in a Wappler forum for one of the editorial team to be able to take a look at it and just say, yeah, we need to update our tutorial to include that point. So everything becomes centralized into a single tutorial page as opposed to scattering around in different places. And I think that'll give us a better quality of product. I sort of lost the train of where I was really going on there, but never mind that. That is the plan, that is the idea. But also, I say we can analyze the patterns of viewing, we can analyze what people have been looking at and keep that up to date. In terms of feedback, just go back in the topics again, just randomly pick one. This feedback button, really simple. If you're not, everybody, even whether you're logged in or not, can see this content. What they can't do is click this button. In fact, because I'm not confirmed in that one, I've just shown that actually I am truthful in what I said. You can't click that button because that account, if you remember, I unconfirmed earlier. There we are. It's now confirmed. Click the feedback button, and we get feedback. Now, what I'm looking for here is people can either feedback a suggestion as to why the tutorial is wrong or that it's missing something, or they can request a new tutorial to be written. That's not going to be discussed in the way that the Wappler forum discusses topics. That will come through into a central mailbox, which is linked into the admin console of this site, so that all of the editors have access to it. It uses my IMAP extensions that I wrote some months ago to be able to pull the mailbox contents into the admin console. And we as a group will have a look at it and we will decide, first of all, does it need to be done? Secondly, is it feasible? And thirdly, do we have the capability and time to do that? If it is feasible, what we actually do is we create an internal task within the administration system to say that this particular tutorial needs to be updated, or we need a new tutorial on that. and that then goes to one of the editorial team can pick that up, and there's nothing compulsory in this. They have a list of all your available tasks. They can say, all right, yeah, I'll do that one. They can take ownership of that task. They can update that, and then that will be released. In the meantime, obviously, we would notify the person who's asked for the changes that it was being viewed by the team or that they were going to be implemented, always with can't promise timescales, because people are doing this while they are working. They're doing it in their free time effectively, so we can't expect people to be tied down to timescales. Very last bit, the all-important donate button. At the moment, apologise, I haven't had time to write a Stripe checkout for this, so it's actually just links to my Buy Me a Coffee site at the moment. So if you click on that, it will take you to the Buy Me a Coffee site. And if I can keep this financed in this way to cover costs, we've got to accept that maybe on occasion we might have to pay somebody to do a little bit of work on this in terms of content. Not talking about big money, but it's sometimes a thank you, like people have done for me in the past regarding my videos, etc. Goes a long way to getting them to come back on another time. So you can donate a coffee or 2 or 3, or however many you want, and that hopefully will keep the site funded. On the funding side, I originally had considered maybe a 25 euros, dollars, whatever, annual charge. Say, I want to avoid this. I certainly don't expect everybody to contribute. I appreciate that we in sort of Europe, America, etc., if the $20 or whatever is not a lot of money. A lot of people in Far East, for instance, $20 can be 3 days' wages. So it'd be unfair to expect everybody to donate the same levels, or indeed for everybody to donate. But if we can keep this running through some simple donations from those who can actually afford it, then we can make this available to everybody, including those who perhaps would be already struggling to pay for the Wappler subscriptions and really don't want any additional expense to come from that. I think at that point, that is basically the overview of the site. I very happily will answer questions on anything at all that people want. I'm just going to drop the share down because I'm looking at a blank screen. I can't see anybody in there. It's pretty boring.
Keep the share up at the moment, Brian.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I was just going to say, give us a typical. I want to do something that I've not done before in Wappler, so I'm just trying to think of a classic example. So, say for argument's sake, I want to encrypt a password with SHA encryption. How would I do that in Wappler? So, within this system, what would be the process to find that information?
I would suggest topics, SHA, and that'll give you everything that has got an SHA in. Doesn't like there is actually a tutorial in that by title, but if I search in the body, may well be a topic that would be in there.
Yeah. So that would be the way you'd go about it.
Yeah, and then what I would say is, if you can't find one, then that's when you go into the request, because actually that would be, being realistic. Most of us could put that tutorial together in 15 minutes, whether that be a text tutorial or a video tutorial. I'm actually finding I can do a video tutorial sometimes quick in the text one, and be able to very quickly turn that around for people to be able to show that. Because again, the problem at the moment is that there are lots and lots of tutorials out there that include that process.
Yes.
But they are embedded in much, much longer tutorials, in particular video tutorials. And this is where we come back to what I talk about is a granular training, that if we can break things down in a modular basis and then produce these lesson flows, chaining all of those modules together, then we would have a single tutorial on how to use SHA encryption, or how to use, and I've completely lost the word, Come on, the big encryption we use all the time, every day.
MD5, the old one.
No, the new one that we all use. Come on.
Oh, I stuck with SHA 256, but
Argon,
Sorry?
Argon, Argon.
Argon.
Argon. Yeah. So we do have a section on cryptography. We do have a section on Argon 2 secure hashes. Sorry, that word just completely on. We've got one on that. But that we arrived basically because Argon was quite a late addition comparatively to Wappler. SHA has been there from day one, so nobody's ever produced a tutorial specifically for that, because certainly I must have produced 20 or 30 different tutorials where in the early days where that was mentioned. If we can break these down into small modular units, then you will be able to just go SHA, it'll pull up a tutorial for you, and you'll be able to say specifically how to use that. And we can also include discussions as to, its benefits or not, and also, of course, cross-reference it to the other forms of encryption like Argon, so that the users can jump seamlessly between those topics to be able to define what is best for their particular need.
Excellent.
Good question, John. Thank you.
Got a couple questions for you, Brian.
Please, yeah.
Ashley Anderson from the USA is asking, is it ready to accept people now, or do you want us to wait?
No, please come in now. Let's see what the support is, the interest is in it. And also, I'm going to again throw out our editor team is still, it's a handful of people. I think it's maybe 8 or 10 that have sort of pre-beta invited to join the team. A few have dabbled into some tutorials. I've had some really useful design advice from a few as well in terms of the front end of this. Because I'm a coder, not a designer. I'm first to admit my design's pretty rubbish generally. But anybody who wants to get involved in this process, whether that be to write tutorials or just simply to review them, have a look, make sure that they're okay. And if they think there's issues, but they don't feel comfortable updating it, then we've got the task system built into the management system behind it, because obviously 95% of the work's in the back end of this, not the front end. Then they can just simply task it back to the rest of the editors saying, I've reviewed this. I think there might be an issue with this particular part, or it might even be just we need to sort some images out because they're very misleading. And then somebody on the team can pick that up and make the amendments. So we're very happy to welcome anybody who wants to support this in the back end side of things as well.
Do any of the Wappler team have access to it?
Right. Well, that's actually on my notes that I meant to tell you about.
Oh,
because they fell over. Right. At the moment, there's 3 levels of, well, actually there's 4, but 1 isn't used. There's 3 levels of access at the moment. And that is your user that we've seen. There was an editor, and then there's actually a higher level of admin, which gives access to things like the emails, etc. And some additional audit trailing, etc. that probably best not to make public to everybody. I'm very concerned that I don't want people's personal details to be able to be viewed by anybody but trusted persons. But I'm also, and I'll sort of throw this out now, I think the code itself is on a private Git repository. It's backed up nightly at server level. And I am very, very happy to release not just the code and the database, but access to the Wappler team if they want it, right down to server level. I've got to be conscious that, I'm going to hop on an aeroplane in 24 days' time. Big little hint, I'm going on holiday in 24 days' time. And that plane could crash. And this whole system would then be a bit of a white elephant. So certainly we need to have a keeper of the keys, as it were, so that people can do that. So I'm not in competition in any way, shape, or form. Quite the opposite with the Wappler team. This is here to support their product, support them as well as users. And I think it's important that there is these securities of people being able to access down to that server level if needs be. Does that answer your question, John?
It does, but my reason wasn't actually from a security perspective. It was from a content creation perspective, in that will they, if they spot that a tutorial hasn't been done or some information isn't correct, are they going to be as proactive as other editors in keeping it up
I get the distinct impression, having chatted with them about it, that the Wappler team still feel that the Wappler forum is all that's needed. If you've noticed, they have been doing a lot of restructuring, etc., recently to try and improve it. Their focus will be their forum, and I think that is absolutely correct. If they want to be editors on this as well, then all they need to do is register. I will upgrade them to editor level as well. But I think, being realistic, they don't really have time to keep their own doc system up to date, which is why we've got the need for something like this. The chances of them coming in and updating our system, I think, is highly unlikely. I would love to be proved wrong, but I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I think there possibly will be times when they'll just spot something. It'd be in their interest as well, because if we've got inaccurate information, then that's going to increase, that's going to cause forum questions and help requests and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep the sort of help side of things separate on this to the forum, which is why I say.
Oh, absolutely. But if I'm on this system and I'm reading a tutorial, but it's out of date, or there's errors in it, or it's incorrect, I'm going to then go to the forum to say, how do I do such and such? Because on the Virtual Academy it says do this, but when I do that, this, etc., etc., and it's just adding to the support requests. Whereas if it was correct on the Academy,
I mean, to be honest, the answer to that one to me, John, is rather than going back to the forum, if you think there was an error in the tutorial, that's why you hit the feedback button. Send that back to the editorial team of the.
Yeah, I'm trying to put myself in the mind of the person that doesn't know it's an error, who's following it verbatim because they're new to it, or
I mean, it's a possibility, and I don't really see an easy way around that.
Yeah, that's fine.
If we go back to what I was saying about the longer term, what I like to see is every post that goes out in that Wappler forum, we skim for amendments, changes, updates, then we're potentially able to keep the system aligned with the web forum. And I hope, to be honest, much more detailed than the forum. But that's really down to the scope and capability of the editorial team, really.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anybody else?
Can you see the chat there, Brian?
Sorry?
Can you see the text chat?
There's one question first, and then I'd like to direct you to the chat. The quick question is, does this pick up your dark light mode from your Wappler forum settings?
No, it doesn't. It's independent.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
It's picked from there.
Okay. We've got a question in the chat from Ellis Rust. I think if you would take a moment, Brian, to read that, I think it would be helpful.
Yeah, I'm just I sort of get where Alice is coming from there. Certainly, version 7 of Wappler has very much been about AI and interface. And we've seen very, very little in terms of additional components and functionality in that way. But I think from the impression I get from what George has been saying is that now that they have completed and launched the version 7, they will now be turning into extending the functionality for the users in terms of new components, etc., which hopefully will redress that. In terms of older version tutorials, that really is part of our editorial team's purview to look at them. Just because there's an old picture of Wappler in a tutorial does not mean it's wrong. So very much my guidance would be, is it misleading? If it's misleading, then just paste a new image in. It's very, very easy to do. A couple of seconds, call up your Wappler screen, copy and paste the appropriate screen in. And let's try and get the imagery up to date, because it's a lot of the tutorials are showing, Wappler versions 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see the red writing and the old scrolly Wappler logo. And as soon as you see that, it sort of rings old-fashioned, even if it isn't wrong. I think it does put people off to some degree, because they perceive it as out of date, even if perhaps the content itself is still perfectly valid. Does that answer your question, Alice?
I think you nailed it there, Brian.
Thank you.
This is really a labor of love you're doing here, and if I can speak for the Wappler community, I think your efforts are greatly appreciated to keep the community moving forward. And thank you. And Ellis said yes. By the way.
Yeah, I see that. I've got the chat open. I'm just going to stop that share, because I can't. While I'm sharing the screen, I don't see anybody, and it's very lonely out here.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this becoming. I'm hoping I'm not going to overpromise, but it becoming a regular daily dip into, partly to learn more and to find other techniques and whatever, but partly also to contribute and just build it up, and hopefully in not too long, few months maybe, it really does become the Bible of Wappler.
Well, certainly that's my vision, John. The baseline is basically where the same stroke a little bit better than the current Wappler form, because I have manually produced some tutorials. For instance, all of the most of the functions within App Connect, which are not documented at all, are now documented, albeit AI's done it, but it's actually done a really good job. There's some manual ones in there. I really want to progress the lesson flows that I discussed, which I think has a lot of benefit. But we can look ultimately to interactive tutorials and all sorts. If I go back to the sort of original discussions when I muted this, there were some that felt that I should go for an existing learning platform, or an existing platform out there to make things quicker. A couple of reasons I didn't do that. One is I love Wappler, and it's I had fun doing this, but also the flexibility. I think somebody did make the comment, well, if the Wappler team could have written the forum and Wappler on day one, but they didn't. They went for the current system. And, if you think about it, and that's why we're in the problem that we are now, because while it's an excellent discussion forum, it's not a training platform. And therefore, it's hit its limitations. And now what we've done is we've created our own platform. And with the combined knowledge that we have here of Wappler users, we can make this do pretty well anything that we want. We're not tied into anybody else's ideas. And we can make it something really special. It won't happen overnight. I mean, I look at this as, a 10-year plus project. I'll give up when my fingers are too arthritic to press on a keyboard, basically. But it opens a lot of avenues. And I say, I'm not possessive about this at all. I'm a bit uncomfortable opening up the code to people because things can get broken very easily. However, if people have ideas, please feed them in. I'm already getting them from some quarters. Some really good ideas. And if I can implement them, I will. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll come back to them and say, please tell me how you do it. I'm not too proud to ask for help.
It's also going to be a really good response to new people saying, what can Wappler do? and you can now give an example and say,
Yeah,
well,
that's,
look
I
at
mean,
the Virtual Academy, it was built 100% in Wappler.
yeah, there's one of the things that I must speak to George about at the moment. I don't suppose many of you have actually signed up to the Wappler forum in many years, but if you do you remember Disco Bot from the early days of sign up? It still, when you sign up, refers you to Ken's old tutorials, which don't even exist anymore, which I think were from Wappler 3 or 4 days. I have actually told George about that 18 months ago. Nothing's changed. I must have a word with him because I would like him, if possible, to have this as the intro so that when people sign up, they can say, everything you need to know about Wappler is, not you can go here and pay for this course. You can just come to the Wappler Virtual Academy and it will get you up and running. Good. I'm going to stop that share. Just give me a second. Oh no, I have stopped the share. Anybody else, any questions? Come on, I'm in a good mood today. I'm going to have a weekend off without touching a computer. I wish. No more questions?
Yeah, I bet you don't have the weekend without touching the computer.
Yep. Actually, I do have a question for you, Brian.
Yep.
What is a good subject like you promoting Buy Me a Coffee? I thought you drank tea.
Well, actually, I drink both.
All right.
It's a myth that all English people drink tea, I'll be honest. There is a lot of tea drinkers, but I actually drank coffee only until I was about 50. And then I started having some tummy problems and coffee upset it, so I moved over to tea. But I still enjoy a good quality coffee. Don't have any of this instant rubbish, but good quality coffee. You just can't beat still.
Very good. Excellent. Well,
The chocolate hobnob.
Oh, diet, mate, diet. 22 kilos off now. I'm getting my holiday body back for my holidays at the end of the month, or the start of the next month, as it is.
all right. Well, this has been certainly a fabulous meetup. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We have these meetups every month on the second Friday of each month at 4 p.m. Netherlands time. I would invite you all to tune in. If you have a special tip or trick that you use with Wappler and would like to share it with the community, besides the Wappler Virtual Academy, you can also reach out to me on the forum and share it via meetups. I'm known as Mark 1 on the forum. Please feel free to reach out at any time. And I look forward to hearing from you on the forum and seeing you at the future meetups. I would say so long, everyone, and I hope George gives me the jet back for next month.
And thank you for everybody joining me. I've really enjoyed today. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Have a great day, everyone.
And you.